Gay and trans characters are up 222% in children's programming over the last few years, and this is no accident. Watching Disney these days is like watching Skinamax on a Friday night after midnight. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. As you know, we're the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. For more than 15 years, Mike and MyPillow has been producing the most comfortable sleep gear in the world. But did you know they also sell Egyptian cotton sheets? That's right. Right now, our audience can get 2 sets of Giza Prime sheets for the price of one. BOGO, as the kids say, plus free shipping. So buy 1 pair of these really, really soft and comfortable Giza Prime sheets. You get another set free, and Mike will ship it to you absolutely free. Simply use the code Dr. Duke. That's Dr. Duke, DRDUKE. And if you go to mypillow.com, you can save up to 66% on other things as well. So again, that code is Dr. Duke, DRDUKE. Okay. Today we start with a stunning, but really not all that surprising new report that shows how, quote, the queer creators have cleverly snuck hundreds of LGBTQ characters into children's programming over the last 5 years. I mean, if you got little kids now, it's utterly unrecognizable from what used to be 5, 10, 20 years ago. Everything has gone full and utter and total woke. And these characters it's exploded, the number of them there. So what you're getting is a thorough, whatever's not brainwashed in the public schools, send them home to watch Saturday morning cartoons, and that's gonna mesh perfectly with the new world order when it comes to sex and gender.
You know, when we talk about how things are organically grown and all natural, and that's a very big component of like LGBTQ life, like do what is natural to you and all that. This is not natural in any stretch of the imagination. What they're doing, these queer creators as they're being called, they are specifically pushing the LGBTQ agenda and working with major entertainment networks, writers, producers, showrunners, directors, so that they can get these sexualized themes into these young children's programming. And it's been going on for years. Like, it's behind the scenes, all hush hush until so when you say like, oh, it's wow, all of a sudden it seems like there's a lot more like LGBTQ stuff. No, this has been in the works for years. This is the whole point of, like, it's coming to fruition in their minds. So,
yeah, do you remember when the simpler, gentler days when you watched kids programs, and it's always the more you know. They're always trying to take
NBC.
They're always trying to teach basic morality, right? Fidelity, trust, hard work. Remember back when we were kids, all the shows had these kind of nice themes to them that were universal. They weren't political in any way. They were about character.
Were they inclusive?
They were inclusive. They were inclusive shows. They were all about universal values and character traits, right?
That's long ago.
Now. Yep.
So the Insider reports that the rise of gender diverse representation isn't a coincidence. Shows created and run by queer women, trans, and non-binary showrunners are largely responsible for the influx of non-binary and trans characters in kids' animation. And as we said, 222% increase in the LGBTQ characters and their stories just in the past few years. Just from 2017 to 2019 alone, it's a 222% increase. We're now in 2021. What is 2020 and then 2021 and 2022? And I could keep counting if you'd like.
And here's the important point. There's one of the showrunners for the show, right? So one of the transgender showrunners for one of these shows, Shady Petoskey is the name, told Insider that, quote, it isn't enough. It's not enough for LGBTQ activists to simply get roles in the entertainment industry. They must make sure that pro-LGBTQ content makes it into the show. So the lie, we were told 12, 15 years ago during the gay marriage revolution, right? We were told that this has nothing to do with politics. This has nothing to do with activism. We're not trying to change the country. We're not trying to mess with the traditional family. We just want to be able to be free to marry who we love, we were told, again, and reassured. Now you hear it from the horse's mouth itself. It's not enough to be representative. It's not enough that there's a 220% explosion of gay and trans characters across all aspects of children's programming. We also have to feed you pro-trans and gay messages. In other words, representation, a seat at the table, acceptance alongside everybody else was never the ambition here. The ambition has always been to completely transform culture along these lines, and they're using your kids like guinea pigs, every bit as much as the public schools are doing that.
And if you want to talk about specific numbers, so 222% equates to finding content with 259 gay characters in cartoons and TV series that are aimed at children. 259 characters. Well, we all know, if you watch any news or just can pretty much understand, that Lori Lightfoot is the mayor of Chicago and this was bound to happen. They can't protect their citizens from any crime. And they can't protect their children from being sexualized in the schools. And that's why you have kids as young as 5th grade, so 10-year-olds, are going to have access to condoms in almost all of the Chicago elementary schools this coming fall. So out from COVID into condoms. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that the Chicago Public Schools policy states that schools teaching 5th grade and up must maintain a condom availability program as part of an expanded vision of sexual health education. More than 600 CPS schools will end up having them, save for a dozen that enroll only younger grades. So any school that has 5th grade and up...
Undergrades.
With 5th grade and up,
all right, yeah,
they get the condoms.
It's amazing. And, you know, the thing about this is that this normalizing, in the name of health, they're doing this, right?
Of course.
So they're fully expecting that the average 10-year-old has every moral and ethical right to have sex with anybody they want. That's the assumption here.
Well, they say they don't think that the 5th graders all will be using it.
But in their world, they want all of them to be able to. That's why you're giving condoms to everybody, right?
This is true.
And that's health. And so notice what we've done successfully now. Another way the left has successfully redesigned words to their own benefit, however illogical it is. The best way to deal with sexual health is not abstinence anymore. Look, I think 90% of moms and dads in this country, 90% of people in this country would agree with me on this. In the world, it's probably much, much higher than that. Bottom line is that we don't want 10-year-olds having sex, period. I can't think of a single culture outside of the West that would find this acceptable. And the vast majority of people in the Western cultures don't find it acceptable. It's never been acceptable to be 9 and 10 years old and to be sexually active. Here now, they're equating that. 10-year-olds needing condoms because they're engaging in all kinds of different sex that are promoted in the new sexual standards. Health now is not doing it. It's doing it with a condom. The implication is the more sex you have at age 9 and 10, the more condoms you use, the safer your sexual behavior is. And anybody paying attention knows that's a bald-faced lie.
And that liar man is Kenneth Fox, the CPS's chief health officer and a pediatrician of 30 years. I don't know where he's been a pediatrician or who he's seen, but he said that young people have the right to accurate and clear information to make healthy decisions. And they need access to resources to protect their health and the health of others as they act on those decisions. He also said that school officials want to make condoms available to students for if and when they think they need them.
And the reason they have to make decisions is because you're forcing them to. You're putting information in front of them in ways and along lines that their little minds can't even process, and you're challenging them to make a decision. Then you're handing them tools to make the decision for them, right? If you really wanted to let the kids choose, then you would say, hey, any child who needs resource, any of you who are out there who want to be sexually active and they need resources, go down to see the school nurse. Instead, what are you doing? You're making available to them immediately all the condoms they want. It's part of something. It's like getting your lunch card, all right? Condoms are part of this. It is shockingly stupid and dishonest.
Well, in the simple fact that they say to start with, elementary schools will get 250 condoms. So each elementary school gets 250? Is that what they're saying? You think they need that many? And that high schools, many of which already make them available, will get 1,000 condoms. They don't even get 1,000 minutes of reading time in class, but 1,000 condoms, here you come. The Chicago Department of Public Health will provide the condoms at no cost to the district as part of the city's effort to prevent teen pregnancies, HIV, and other sexually transmitted diseases. So who's paying for it?
We are.
Okay. When a school runs out, principals will be told to request more from CPS and CDPH. Schools will get a letter from Fox explaining the policy to parents. Oh, they're going to get a letter talking about it. And principals are going to receive guidance for where to store the condoms and how to operate the program.
And
the
notice, parents aren't getting a letter saying, do you approve of this? Do you want out your property tax money to go to fund? They're not getting that letter. They're getting the, this is what we're going to do letter. Isn't it wonderful?
And the condoms should be in easily accessible locations in the school.
Yes.
While also not too out in the open, so there's still privacy for the students.
Student privacy. You're so concerned about student privacy.
Fox also said that I would expect that not everybody is going to be completely on board right from the start. Right from the start. So he intends later on.
Oh,
but I do think society has changed.
Yes. So in other words, in 10 years, we'll be handing them out to kindergartners, and no one's going to say a word. That's the impetus of what he's telling you.
So specifically why they're saying, fifth grade. Why is it fifth grade, not fourth grade? Not kindergarten, like you said it's going to become. Well, Fox said it's informed by a developmental understanding of children.
Oh,
because they clearly
fundamental. Yeah, the fundamental education that goes all the way back to the Bible about horny 9-year-olds getting sexually transmitted diseases because they're making out in the back of their G.I. Joe big plastic car.
Sure.
That's my question. Are they going to start making those little big wheels with back seats now? So 7 and 8-year-olds could park at the right at the circle of the cul-de-sac. Imagine a starlit June night. Kids have just gotten out of school. Little 8-year-olds are now out of school for the whole summer. Little boy picks up his date on his big wheel. They go and get a slushie from the ice cream man. And then they park down Elementary Lovers Lane at the cul-de-sac. They get in the back of the big wheel. And the little boy thinks to himself, oh no, I'm about to have sex with my 8-year-old girlfriend again. Thank God Chicago Public Schools gave me a handful of condoms.
So Scout Bratt, who is a self-described feminist, and the outreach and education director at the Chicago Women's Health Center said, I want to be really clear that the existence of condoms does not mean that all students are going to be using those condoms or encouraged to use them.
Gosh, what a clear thinker.
The idea is to say we are educational centers. We are community health centers, essentially. And we know to invest in young folks' health and well-being by providing comprehensive sex ed. It means we also need to provide the resources. We want students to come to us and to have access to those condoms for free, as opposed to potentially having to find them elsewhere or choose not to use condoms. It's about recognizing that school is investing in young people's health.
It's a hot August night. Little 7-year-old Joey picks up little 6-year-old Jenny, his neighbor, and they turn on the slip and slide. All of a sudden, a little Kool-Aid, a little grape Kool-Aid, a little apple pie after dinner, and Johnny's got thoughts.
We're going to be back at Princeton, the Ivy League, Princeton, Princeton. They have claimed themselves racist in the past, if you don't remember, President Eisengruber. But now they are boasting about their 68% students of color admission. What? Yes, this is based on students, obviously, who self-identify as person of color.
So think about this. So Princeton University, led by Herr Führer Geisenberger, who we've run into many times before, right? One of the most sniveling, self-hating, virtue-signaling, completely clueless, out of his depth university president anywhere in the world. Eisengruber and Princeton. And by the way, if you're really going to divest from all the racism, shouldn't you change the name of Princeton? It's named for the Prince of England. It's elitist, it's royalist, it's sexist because it's prince, not princess. Time to change the name. Eisengruber. Schnell!
Okay.
Is what you should do.
Well
You
then.
need to change the name of Princeton. That would if you have a German like me, that would
That's
be calling your
Scottish.
school
Now you've gone
Kaiserton.
You got to work on those accents.
Kaiser. It's
Your
been calling
Deutsch has gone
it's like
Scottish.
calling the university Kaiserton University.
That is
You
true.
wouldn't have it. So the other thing I would point out here is in order to get this incredibly non-white class, almost 7 out of 10 kids not white, you had to get rid of tests, you had to get rid of GPAs, you had to get rid of the SATs. In other words, you had to look at every single metric except academic achievement. And that's now what we call Ivy League.
Now, the specifics is that they did get rid of the SAT, ACT, this testing component. That it's no longer being required. You can submit it with your application, but you no longer have it be required. And so obviously there is a correlation, not exactly a causation, but there's definitely a correlation about the rise in the number of persons of color versus taking the SAT, ACT. And the reason they said when we reported on this that they didn't require this test anymore is a lack of access to the testing sites.
Oh, jeez.
Because they're all online and they're
Yeah.
everywhere. But whatever. That's also
like
you take them
Kamala-
at school.
That's like Kamala Harris
in
saying
most
this weekend
places.
that the reason we have voter laws, we shouldn't have voter laws, is because people in rural communities don't know how to use a copy maker. Unbelievable.
A copy maker?
A coffee maker.
A coffee maker.
A copy maker. Copier?
There we go. That's a little bit closer. We don't have Kinko's, by the way, but we do have Staples. And, that thing called the library, they all have copy machines. So anyway, back to this story. Now, of the 1,498 students who are admitted for the class of 2025, 22% of them are first generation and 68%, as we said, are persons of color. Now, regarding the test, they sent out an announcement. Announcement. A terrible death to die. No, okay, no one's with me on that. Please know that standardized testing is but one element of our comprehensive and holistic application review process. Remember, Ivy League.
Holistic.
We employ no minimum test scores for admission. Rather, the entirety of a student's background
words,
is considered
translation.
in context.
How much melanin do you have? That's it, right?
Yes. Additionally,
So they warn you. Yes. This is not about grades. This is not about standardized testing. Holistically, we take a look at the kid's skin color. We have to find out just how dark they are. And the darker they are, the more we're likely to take them. That's our criterion.
yes, they say additionally, we do not require applicants to submit the optional writing section of the SAT or ACT.
So, no writings, no writing sample, no tests. Just good plain racism, right, Princeton? Just good old look at the applicant and say, you're dark enough. Come on in. Back with another instant classic, and all week long we are reacting to when good education goes bad. Take a look at the video. This just gets me every single time. Young mother in a beautiful suburb. Stop. Is she actually wearing a mask? I can't tell. But he young boy who rips a flag, an American flag, off somebody else's property and hurls it to the ground like it's some incredible act of political defiance. There you go. Look at the vehemence here. Somebody else's property so bothers that little kid that he and mom are heroes now for vandalizing somebody else's property. This, my friends, is why you better care about education, even if you have no kids, even if you have no grandkids, even if you're content to go to your grave without ever thinking about education again. You better pay attention, because this is the future of this country unless something very seriously changes. Changes very quickly. If we don't quickly right this ship, we are breeding kids like this to despise every symbol, every aspect of the American experience. And you think this is about socialism? It is, but think even bigger. This is globalism, global socialism. Because once you pull apart America, once you destroy the freest, most prosperous country in the history of the world, as Ronald Reagan has said, there's no place else to go. Once this country goes, there is no place else to go except to join the global allegiance to socialism. So take a look at one of these education quotes. This is Charles Loring Brace, an educational specialist, among other things, writer, a deep thinker from long ago with his pensive look, said this about education, quote, "Thousands are the children of poor foreigners who have permitted them to grow up without school, education, or religion. All the neglect and bad education and evil example of a poor class tend to form others, who, as they mature, swell the ranks of ruffians and criminals. So at length, a great multitude of ignorant, untrained, passionate, irreligious boys and young men are formed who become the dangerous class of our city," right? What happens? Where's that little boy going to end up? You think it stops with ripping somebody else's? He's, 4 years old, maybe? 5 years old? Ripping somebody else's flag out of the ground and hurling it to the ground as an act of political defiance. He might even be as young as 3. Where do you think the future is for this little boy? I'll tell you where it is. It's in the front lines of Antifa. It is at the front of barricades, burning down police stations, throwing rocks at police officers, and feeling morally justified because that's what the education system of this country, a public education, by the way, one paid for by American citizens' property taxes, gone to turn kids against the country of their birth this way. You can rest assured that education may not be your interest, but sooner or later, the consequences of bad education are going to come to your small suburb, your comfortable little life, your retirement home somewhere nice and sunny, whether it's Phoenix or Miami. You think they're going to leave you alone? Time to pay attention. Time to join the fight to reorient education back to what it should be. Skills, subject matter, not politics, not socialism, not global Marxism.
All right, well, those are the stories for today. If you have a question for us, please feel free to drop it in the mailbag by emailing askduke@fpeusa.org. And if you enjoy our content, please support our show and join the Patriot Club. Your one-time $99 tax-deductible donation keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a special thank you, we will ship you our signature tumbler.
Hey, and if you can, we're willing to send $100 to anybody who can tell us who that mom and little boy are. Let's publicize them. Let's hold them accountable, not for their political views, not because they're willing to burn a flag or destroy a flag, but because they trespassed and they stole somebody else's property and they damaged it. Let's out these people. Look, if somebody had thrown a gay pride flag down like this, they already would have been doxxed 10 times over. Let us know who they are. Some enterprising reporter. Let's get some restitution. A new $2.49 flag to the person who had it stolen from them. And a lesson to that little boy that however warped your mom is, stealing is still wrong. And that wraps up the show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.